Well, all right. Welcome back to Close It Now. Sam Wakefield here. I am stoked to introduce our guest today, Jonathon Porter-Whistman. He is author of a book that a lot of you may have read. And if you haven't, you must pick it up and read it, or of course, listen to it on in your Drive Time University, The Sales Boss, which we are going to talk about some of that today. He's also founder and CEO of WhoHire, which is, of course, building the world's most powerful talent intelligence program for the trades, which is really exciting. And I hope to hear a little bit about that today as well. But welcome to the show, Jonathon. Thanks for joining us.
Nice. Thanks for having me on, Sam. Looking forward to our conversation. I always come away with our conversations energized and ready to take on the day. So I'm sure your listeners feel that way as well.
Well, I sure hope so. I put a lot of heart and soul into it. So, but yeah, man, I love this. I love the opportunity that I get to, talk to the best and the greatest in our industry and other industries, and so we can support and help each other. But one thing we always do on our interviews episodes is give everybody a quick highlight reel. So, why in the world should they be listening to you, right? How'd you get here to this seat? And just like, catch us up from when you like had that aha moment in business, and then like what your journey's been, and a
Yeah, well, I
philosophy
was
that
born
that
under a
drives you.
rock. I'm not going to go that far back, but I
Okay.
have I have always been self-employed, other than about 6 months in my life,
Hmm.
and then I realized I wasn't going to be a great employee, and so I've always been building teams and organizing businesses, and you realize really quickly that the number one single most important system in a business is the people.
Right.
And so really had a focus on humans and how do you grow humans. Built and sold a couple of companies. My very first one was a cleaning company of all things because I grew
Hmm.
up poor, and if I was going to do anything, I was going to pay for it. So that was
Right.
my first business, and then I got into technology. So two totally opposite ends of the scales. But eventually, I got asked by Wiley to write the book, The Sales Boss.
Hmm.
And the book is really around leading people in a sales organization. So it's not a book, a sales training book, but if you're sitting in that seat as the sales leader,
Hmm.
whether that's the CEO, owner of the company, whether that's a sales manager, how do you get a team of people moving in the right direction and fulfilling, the things that you hope for the company? So I called it the sales boss for a couple reasons, because you
Hmm.
could say sales manager, but it sounds so boring. Like somebody that's doing it like a boss, right? They
Exactly.
style and flair, but
Yeah, they're
also
really kicking ass. They're
yeah,
the
they're really
boss.
kicking ass. And it also is an acronym, BOSS: behavior, outlook, skills, and stature. There are four levers I go back to in the book time and time again to say,
Hmm.
how do you diagnose what's going on with yourself as a leader? And then also, with the people on your team. Your audience, I imagine many of them are in the skilled trades. And I've had the
Absolutely. Hmm.
opportunity to work with a number of people in the trades. Really, my first I've been doing like the enterprise space, talking to those companies. I sold the first quantum computer to Amazon, just to, so totally different than like plumbers and electricians.
Right.
My first real introduction to the trades was through Tommy Mello, and he hired me based on my
Hmm.
book, and I got a chance to work with the great folks over at A1. But that really turned me on to saying, how could we use the enterprise prediction technology I was doing at the time to benefit the blue collar space and home
Hmm.
services particularly? And so we went on a journey over the last couple of years of building what I believe is the best platform for the human component of home service business.
Yeah.
If you can get that right, a lot of things can go right. So that the name of that company is WhoHire, and I think that might, those two things might be worthwhile for your audience to look
Absolutely. Yeah, I would
forward or
definitely
chat
want
about.
to dive into that here in a little bit. And I love that that the sales boss is about the management, the leadership. Leadership, of course, is everything. Being a big John Maxwell to you name it, fan. Leadership is all the time we're a leader. We just don't realize it.
You know,
But that's one
part
of
of
the
that.
things so many people don't talk about is how to run the sales organization, right?
Yeah, you talk to a business owner a lot of times, like, I need to get salespeople. I need my
Hmm.
people selling better. That's true. However, if you put great people in a system where you don't have a great sales leader, you're still going to be mediocre as a company. You're
Right.
not going to have the same scale and impact that you want to have. So,
Hmm.
really getting the system that surrounds how do you bring people into your organization? How do you the subtext to my book is the real secret to hiring, managing, and training a sales team.
Right.
It's really all of that. If you have a great sales leader in place that gets all of that right, you could really hire um, less than stellar
Hmm.
salespeople and
Yeah.
develop them, right?
Sure. Yeah, have a team of average and just grow them. That's what years ago what I said, what I told the owner of our company because we had hired a few, the hired guns, the hot shots, right? The guys that come in, they're the gunslingers, but then they were not anywhere close to the company culture. They were doing things we didn't agree with, so we had to let them go, and they really brought down the team for a while. And I told him, I was like, man, listen, let's just grow our superstars here. We'll find people that and hire for same thing. I love this
Yeah.
because that's what I was doing before we'd even having a conversation. It's like, all right,
It,
well, tell you what, let's just plant them in our trucks and show them the
th-
right way to do it. And they become the superstars because we
th-
work on growing them as people.
that's right. You can train average people to be better. I would put a little caveat to that, which is there are some uh, traits that are just inherent to people that do well in selling.
Absolutely.
So, if I use the expression in my book, if you needed a dog to do a job and there were no dogs available, you could probably hire a cat. But even if you teach that cat how to bark like a dog, nobody's going to be convinced.
Right.
So, you want to start with the raw material for selling and for people that thrive in that sort of job.
Hmm.
But yes, then given that that's true, growing somebody's
Right.
capability certainly
Yeah.
exists.
Understanding where that threshold starts,
That's
for
right.
those key characteristics. So when you're looking for that, and this it may or may not be the right direction to go here at this point, but I'm so curious because it opens up the other question of, what do we need to look for when we're in this hiring kind of mindset and recruiting and all those kind of things? Because and I agree with you. We talk way more about this than I can. One of the biggest things I hear from all over the country when I'm doing my trainings is, yeah, but how do we find people to? We've got a system now. How do we find people to put in that role? How do we find the right people to put on the team? It seems like
Yeah.
there's nobody's applying for our job listings. Now what?
Well, nobody applying for your job listing is a you problem,
Well,
right?
true.
It just means you haven't found the right source. You're crappy at writing. You you read most people's job advertisements, and I wouldn't buy from them, or they look just like everyone else. You should, if you're putting out job advertisements, one is recognize you need to augment your recruiting with not just paid ads.
Right.
However, think about when you're going into the marketplace, even to read a book, right? Let's say you go out to Amazon, you're like, oh, I want to read a book on sales or leadership, and you do that, and you get all these covers, like a virtual bookshelf.
Hmm.
You don't actually click and read the reviews of all of those books. It's the ones that catch your eye, right? And then you click
Right.
it and you read the first couple sentences. You're like, no, that's not it. No, that's not. Okay, this one. And the first one, your job seeker is doing the same thing. You're out there on Indeed or social media or wherever you're at, and you're sitting on the shelf with all these other companies.
Hmm.
So what is it that will catch their eye? You shouldn't be describing the job. I want you, if you're listeners, I want them just to open up their Indeed account or wherever it is and just go and say, what's the first paragraph?
Hmm.
And if the first paragraph is like, we're a family owned company that's been in existence for 20 years, and due to tremendous growth, we're looking for a self motivated, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
Expanding now. Join this
Yeah.
team.
You're just, it already is ugly, right? So, what you need is to get really clear on the avatar of the person you're trying to hire and then describe that hire.
Hmm.
Describe them really specifically, not the job, the person. So you might say, hey, tired of working for average, fed up with a job that you pour your heart and soul into, only to realize there's not enough money left at the end of the month to
Ooh,
do anything, right? Like you're
you've got my
describing,
attention already.
yeah, you're describing the pain of the person,
Hmm.
right? And so once that problem of having enough of the right kind of applications is a writing problem.
Hmm.
It is because you don't know how to identify, you haven't gotten crystal clear on who works in your organization. Then, secondly, you have to use some sort of automation. And the reason is like we live in a world of DoorDash and Uber,
Hmm.
right? If I get really hungry and I've got the munchies, I don't know why I would have the munchies, but I hear sometimes people get the munchies and you go and you order a burrito on DoorDash. How many times, Sam, do you look at that darn app to see where is your burrito?
Well, I can tell you it's a dozen maybe, and
Yeah,
that's in a 12-minute time period.
yeah,
It's
12 minutes.
literally like all the time. Or I'll
And
just
DoorDash,
open it and you leave it sitting open and stare at it while you're doing whatever you're doing.
yeah, and DoorDash has that figured out. They're like, oh, the Dasher has left to pick up your thing. The restaurant has picked it up. They've started preparing it. They're on their way,
Hmm.
right? And
Building
and
anticipation.
and it doesn't change the time you get that burrito.
Mm-mm.
However, that's the world we grew up in. You order an Uber, you're looking, you're like, oh, they're turning onto my street. This is programmed people to want to have a connection to the outcome. And yet, I go on to some contractor's hiring page or Indeed, and they get a one sentence thing that says, thanks for applying. We'll be back to you
Yeah,
shortly.
right.
And it's
That's
like
it.
crickets.
Hmm.
And then they fill out the form or they do whatever. Maybe they come in for an interview and it's like, we'll get back to you.
Hmm.
Crickets. So if you're going to compete in today's environment, you need to use technology so that you're one, really rapidly responding in what feels like a very human way. So if Sam applies, he should be getting a text right away. And it might look like, hey, Sam, thanks for applying. Here's a short video about that role. If you're still interested, why don't you hit me back with a video?
Right.
Right. And it gets that instantaneous, I'm engaged. And then second, you should describe every part of your process and how long it'll take. So it might sound like, hey, we have a careful hiring process. We want to make sure we get the right fit, but we move fast for the right person. There's three stages. It's this, this, and this. You could be working with us in as little as 7 days or 10 days or whatever that is.
Hmm.
But
This is
you get
beautiful.
contractors who can't define for themselves what the process is. So they get a great candidate and they leave that candidate hanging. And that
Mhm.
candidate the whole time is judging, do you know how to operate your business? If your hiring process is discombobulated, this is not the best look for you as a company.
Hmm.
And matter of fact, you know what you see in most companies? You see this like resumes coming in and you actually have maybe a 22-year-old, 25-year-old HR person who's never done the job, by the
Hmm.
way, scanning
Looking through
through,
the resumes.
looking
Yeah.
at resumes and throwing away great talent because they misspelled something on their resume and letting the person through because their resume was, nice and neat and they responded on time and they were like things that have absolutely zero
Hmm.
correlation to whether this person can do the job. That's a broken system. That's why in the trades, you have 60% turnover for most roles.
Right.
That's insane.
It's absurd. Yeah, absolutely.
So well-written job ad, make sure that you're defining for your customer, your employee. Here's the 4 stages we're going to go for there, or the 3 stages. I don't care how many stages it is, but they should know at every step of the way exactly what they can expect. I think of it as the DoorDash experience.
Hmm.
And then when you finally get in front of them, one, there's good prediction tools that can help you understand what you have in front of you. WhoHire is one of those. But even without using WhoHire, what am I looking for in that job
Hmm.
interview? I
Yeah,
have
and
to
that's a great
I,
question.
I
Yeah.
have to know what that is. I get companies. I'm on a rant. You want to ask another question? You want me to keep
No,
ranting?
no, you're good. I love. No, this is really good.
So
So pause super quick though. Really,
yeah.
really appropriate timing because this episode is being recorded November 14th. Basically, it's going to release tomorrow, the 15th of 2024, which is the fall, as we know. We're coming right at the end of the shoulder months, and this is the time that companies in the trades are looking to start their process to hire for spring 2025 and to
Oh
carry
yeah.
through the winter. So this is the perfect timing for exactly this rant. So keep going. So when we're asking those interview questions, right? And if you want to expound on the timing there too, that feel free.
Well, I was thinking, yeah, that, from a timing standpoint, companies need to always be hiring.
Agreed.
The only reason they don't do that is they built this like Frankenstein model that's really hard and takes a lot of time. And frankly, it's a pain in the ass.
Hmm.
But if you smooth that out where you can be constantly filtering talent and only talking to people that are highly qualified and you take the pain out of it,
Hmm.
that's helpful.
Right. And I
Just
agree with that. I think that anytime even a company that feels like they're maxed out, that's because they don't have all of the right people on the bus. I'm such a firm believer that when you find that person that is the right fit for your company and your culture, make a place for them because they will only grow the business, not suck from it.
yeah, they're maxed out temporarily,
Exactly.
right? Because
Yeah.
you're going to lose people. You're going to be trying to grow. I find people in the interview spending a lot of time on what's the magic question I can ask, and
Hmm.
that's going to uncover some, you know, thing that can help
Yeah.
me be
What's the smoking
successful.
gun here?
And when you talk to leaders that are hiring, they have what I call recency bias, which means they remember all the great hires they made
Hmm.
and they forget all of the ones that burned out and churned out and were an utter failure.
Hmm.
Somehow that was their problem, the person they hired, right? They were lazy, young kids don't want to work these days, whatever it is. And they're not shouldering the responsibility for the bad decisions
Hmm.
that they made. So leaders in your organization, the people you're giving the responsibility to hire for you, they're trusting their gut and intuition way more than they should. They believe that they're great judges of human character, and the data tells us they're not.
Hmm.
You could literally flip a coin and have equal hiring success as you get with most managers in a company. That's what your data would tell you if you looked at it. It's
Whew,
about a 60% turnover rate.
that's
So
rough. Well,
what you
that makes sense why in towns that are, somewhat of a, we all know that every city has this community of workers that just hop, you know, give it 5 years. This group is going to be over at that company, and another 5 years are going to be at the
yeah.
next company, and they just hop around. It's like these several groups that hop around all over town, and this makes perfect sense why.
So here's if you're running a company, first thing I would install this mindset that the system for getting people into your organization is the single most and keeping them is the single most important system. You are not an HVAC company, you're not a plumbing company, you're not a roofing company, you are a people company.
Right.
You just happen to install whatever.
Yeah.
So if you have somebody involved in the hiring process in your company, you should treat it like a $500,000 decision every time they say yes to
Hmm.
moving somebody through your hiring process. Now, how many people typically in a company have the authority to write a $500,000 check?
One, right?
Yeah,
Usually the
it's
owner, that's
probably
it.
the owner. Maybe there's one or two other people they trust.
Hmm.
And yet owners are allowing just anybody to make hiring decisions without clearly identifying what's the standard. If you're a owner of a company and you're handing that responsibility for hiring to somebody else, and you should, I'm not suggesting you should do all the hiring.
Correct.
But if I was going to give somebody the authority to write a $500,000 check, a couple of things would be true. One, I will have clearly identified what are you allowed to spend $500,000 on?
Hmm.
What's the quality of that thing that you're going to spend $500,000 on? And secondly, if you mess it up, I self-audited my language. If you mess it up, I'm going to hold you responsible for having wasted a $500,000.
Right.
And yet you get owners letting managers make a hiring decision that churns out sometimes even before they get out of training,
Yeah.
and they never say a word.
Hmm.
So
Oh,
I
so
literally
hey, better luck next
train
time.
I literally train the managers and companies that I work with. I'm like, you are physically going to write a $500,000 check and endorse the back of it when you say Sam should move forward in the hiring process.
Hmm.
Because when Sam wastes my money and he churns out of the organization, this would be another Sam, not Sam Wakefield. I'm going to pull that check out and I'm going to say, hey, Joe, remember when you wrote this $500,000 check for this guy?
Hmm.
What happened?
Right.
So you got to get the seriousness right. And then
Hmm.
when you look at we were talking about these magic questions people have. The truth is, none of those questions matter.
Okay.
Zero. You
Hmm.
make up whatever questions you want. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
What what the only thing I'm looking for is one relevant experience, but I'm going to get that from a lot of places, right?
Sure.
And yes, maybe some of that comes out. But what am I really looking for, especially when it comes to somebody that's selling? I'm looking for mental flexibility and composure. Like when I ask a question, are they mentally flexible and can they maintain their composure?
Sure.
If those two things are true, it solves a lot of the problems I'm going to have bringing this person into my organization. And the other thing I'm looking for, because I will have used the best scientific assessments, which will have done the work for me,
Sure.
because I trust that more than my own bias.
Right. Facts over emotion, right? A lot of times.
Yeah, but one thing that I do look at, it's my rule of thumb, is I'm always zeroing in on the answer to this question. Is this person that's in front of me what I would call a happy discontent? Are they a happy discontent? What do I mean by that? I mean, do they generally see the world with rose-colored glasses?
Hmm.
Like, are they happy?
Yeah.
Like, or are they miserable? Like, life has given me the short end of the stick, and
Sure.
I've been persecuted and beaten down, and like somebody comes in and they're complaining about the weather, it's too hot, or oh, it's too cold, or what.
Hmm.
Like, there are people that are just genuinely happy in life. I want
Right.
somebody that's happy, but what I want right next to that is discontent.
Hmm.
And what I mean by discontent is I can tell by the way they speak that they know they were built for something more, they have more left to give in life,
Yes.
that they're seeking some sort of challenge. They're not lazy riding along, they're not on autopilot.
Hmm.
So those are the only things that I'm trying to get in my question is can they maintain their composure, their mental flexibility, which means they'll be able to take coaching, by the way, which is why
Right.
that's important. And then secondly, are they a happy discontent?
Hmm. I
If
love,
those things are
that's
true, I'm
interesting.
in.
I love that. And that's interesting. I guess intuitively, I've always really sought after those two things differently just through questions. Like my question about their discontent usually is always around, I just want to see where their mindset is and where their vision is. So I'd always ask them, hey, if money wasn't an object, where would you vacation? Where'd you pack up your family and go? Anywhere you could go. And so the degree of their answer would always tell me how big their vision is. Because if somebody's like, oh, we'd go to the Florida Keys, is a way different answer than we'd spend a month in Fiji, right? Or we'd take the world cruise for $100,000, right? Is a whole different answer. So I would, that's really fun that you're like putting some actual verbiage to this, because I just have always asked these questions just because I want to see where someone's mindset is, but never really
But
thought
whether
about the
some, but
specifics there.
yeah, but whether somebody wants to be in the Florida Keys or on $100,000 cruise really doesn't really tell me much about them as a person,
Sure, absolutely.
right? Like,
Hmm.
because you're dealing with theoretical,
Hmm.
right? But
Absolutely.
when I get somebody talking about their life,
Hmm.
like real things, the language they choose to describe that will tell me, are they happy and discontent?
Hmm.
My belief is that people will keep working for your company for as long as they believe they can do the best work of their life working for you.
Yeah.
And the minute that's no longer true, they're going to churn out. So I'm trying to look at, where has this person been in their life? And will their having worked for me, because they're going to move on,
Yeah.
but will their having worked for me improve their life and them as a human in a real way? And if that's true, that's going to come out in our conversation together.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting when we start thinking about the language people use. And also, it's hard to recognize that language unless we've first gone before them in that language journey.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that? Because that's, I mean, clearly that's how to recognize it, is you have to know the language first.
I'm not ask me that one more time. I'm not
Yeah.
sure I followed
Well, so
where.
you're talking about, you can recognize in their language, where they are as far as the discontent and their happiness and all of that. But how do we recognize that language if we haven't learned the language to be able to recognize it? Right. So it's to me, it just seems like this. We have to learn this language and know what to listen for to be able to recognize what we're listening for. I guess maybe would be a better way to say it.
Yeah. So depending on who's doing your interviewing in your company, most people have a technical mindset
Hmm.
when they're interviewing somebody. So if you're interviewing somebody to be, a technician or some other role, like I'm looking at that through the lens of can they do this job?
Hmm.
And I'm suggesting I'm going to have that conversation with somebody, but I want to teach my leader, the
Yeah.
sales boss, to have the lens on of ignore the technical answer and be looking for who are they as a human?
Hmm.
Are they happy, discontent? Are they mentally flexible?
Right.
Do they maintain their composure? It's not really a different skill. It's just swapping out a lens. It's almost
Sure.
like, if you have a camera and you put the polarity lens on it, it looks different than if and the same thing with sunglasses,
Hmm.
everything looks different. So I just want to say, I'm going to put on my lens of who is this human standing in front of me?
Hmm. Oh, I love this. And I really asked that like that way on purpose because, a lot of people listening, they you know, kind of have an idea about this, but I love these awareness moments of, oh, that's all it is. It's just remembering, let's also look through this lens also. And so, I mean, until I learned it, I didn't even know to ask for that. But these awareness moments are cool because now it's like immediately actionable that people can use, and it's not like just like you're saying, not learning a new skill. It's like, oh, just being aware of it and to think about this also.
Yeah, and people use heuristics, which is a big word that just means shortcuts.
Sure.
But people use heuristics to get there. So they'll say, and you'll hear people go, well, if they played sports, then they're going to be a good employee. Or if they
Mhm.
did Y, and the reality is none of that's true.
Sure.
It is a heuristic you've used to convince yourself that you have something to go on with this human.
Hmm.
My grandfather used to say, business would be easy if it wasn't for the people. Like people are
True.
messy,
Hmm.
right? So designing a process that just gets to the foundation of functionally who are they are. Do you know Josh and Laura Kelly
Hmm.
over?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I spoke on a sales panel with him at Profit Rocket last year.
Yeah, Josh has this great when somebody comes works for their company, he says they focus on three things. They tell them, look, I'm gonna promise you that you're gonna come away from this being a better human.
Hmm.
You're gonna be better at your job, and you're gonna be better in a better financial place than you were when you came to work for us.
Wow.
And that's so powerful.
Hmm.
That's human to human conversation,
Right.
right? So baking that into your hiring process where you're saying, this is who we are as an organization, and here's the avatar of who does well in our organization, and here's who you will become
Hmm.
as a result of having spent time with us.
Wow. I love that. I,
That's
I'm
a
learning today. I'm writing this into the way I hire. We'll be hiring people from now on too.
Yeah, and that it was so powerful because a lot of times you hear this in home service contractors, especially like people should be lucky they have a job.
Right.
They're lucky that they can work for me. That you have to change your mindset of
Yeah.
because that's no longer true.
Right.
People have a lot of options of where to work. The truth is, you are lucky as a business owner that there are humans that are willing to come alongside you and give a portion of their life to helping you fulfill your dream.
Hmm.
And 90% of the people that work for you aren't going to have a big exit when you blow out and sell your home service business or you retire or do that. For them, this is a job. It's a
Right.
period of time that they're coming alongside you because they have some need they need met.
Hmm.
That might just be to pay the bills. It's your job as the owner to help that human have a bigger dream about themselves.
Right.
right? Or understand what is it that they are dreaming of and how do I come alongside them to help them achieve that thing, then knowing that they'll likely move on.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And some of the best leaders that I know across the country are, are doing this. They're, meeting with their people individually. And so best practices, everybody listening. There's a handful of people I know, they'll meet with their people individually. They go through this whole process of helping them fill out, find their why in life and what's something financially that you're building towards. Is it buying your first home for your family? Is it that new truck? Is it the RV? Whatever it is. And then constantly keeping that in front of them. It's like, okay, here's the metrics that we'll put together to get there. Are you on pace for those? And I love those conversations because now we have a reason to be there and a reason to build something great together.
Yeah, I have in my book, I write about the five truths about humans.
Hmm.
And I think if a leader can master those, they can master growing a team of any sort, but especially a sales team. One of those truths is only their reasons matter,
Hmm.
right? And that's true for every human. So
Sure.
you, as a leader, you've got to figure out what matters to this human that I'm going to hire into my organization. I'm surprised when I listen to my calls my team has with people that are coming in and getting set up on our platform and looking at their
Hmm.
hiring. How many struggle with the answer to the question, why would somebody want to work for you?
Sure.
Like you get silence from some people.
Crickets, right?
And sometimes it's the owner, and sometimes it's your HR leader.
Hmm.
If you're Here's a good test. If you're an owner of a business, just go knock on the door of your whoever's the front tip of the spear for your hiring. When people come to your company, just say, Sam, I'm just curious. Why would somebody want to work for us?
Hmm. See what they say.
This is a person who talks and sells your company all day, every day, if they're doing their job.
Right.
And if they hesitate and there's no passion and they can't get deep about why this is such a great place to work, you got a problem,
Right.
right? And it can't be, well, because we offer $2 more an hour, or we have more
Sure.
paid vacation, because if that's the only reason people are coming to your organization, well,
Hmm.
guess what? When another 50 cents an hour comes up or another day's vacation,
Yep.
that person is susceptible to churn.
Hmm.
That's why in the trades, 60%, that's the churn rate in a lot of these organizations.
Yeah.
Man, just think about the massive human cost of 60% churn. Like just in terms of setting them up in payroll and showing them where the bathroom is and how to clean their truck and
Yeah.
basic like that's a lot of work.
Hmm.
Give them passwords for all your systems, whatever you got to do just to have them. That means in a
Yeah.
2-year period, you have replaced 100% of your company.
Ooh, that's awful.
Now you might have a handful, 3 or 4 people, 10 people, 20 people that have stayed around for, their lifers.
Yeah.
But that means you have this whole other section of your company that is in constant state of churn. You
Hmm.
tell me whether or not a company that has employees that are under 2 years, under 3 years, under 4 years are doing a better job servicing the customer than companies that have employees that are there 6 to 10 years.
Right. No, not at all. Never.
They can't.
Mm-mm.
Plus, all of that energy of just starting over.
Hmm.
Like, imagine you were. I've recently started doing Spartan races. I don't know why.
I
I
saw
hate,
that and I want to
I
commit
hate,
to one with you for
I hate
2025.
running, but I'm going to do it for 2025 just because I need a health challenge. But could you imagine you're going to start like a 21K
Hmm.
and you're going to race against somebody else running a 21K? And let's imagine those are two business owners. They're both running a race to 21 million. And they know to get to 21 million, they got to have, I don't know, let's pick a number, 30 employees, 50
Right.
employees, doesn't matter the number.
Hmm.
And this guy's running, but every time he gets to 10 employees, he's got to go back and lose two and go up and then lose two and
Oof.
go up. The other can just run straight out. That literally would be like running a Spartan race and saying, hey, I get to run 2K and then I got to go back 1K and then I can run 2K and go back a K and run 3K. And
Hmm.
like, just going to exhaust
Yeah,
yourself.
your 21K race turned into 50K.
Yeah. So here's a question. And you most business owners will be really hard pressed. Like if you ask them what their EBIT is, they got that. You ask them how many trucks they have, they got that. You ask them how many, like they got the big top number. But if you said, what's your churn rate
Right.
in humans? Most are going to have a really hard time answering that question.
Hmm. Yeah, they wouldn't even know.
Your leadership team should know that metric just as well as they know it, every other metric. Like, what is Sam, if Sam's the manager, what is his batting average?
Hmm.
And I would be posting that.
Yeah.
Like, we shouldn't have Sam in the hiring process because he's at 50-50.
Right.
Like, we're just going to skip Sam, flip a coin. I'm bake that into my software. It's called the coin flip, right?
Yeah, random employment
It's
generator. Yes,
random.
no. It's
When
like
when
grabbing an
Sam
old
hires him, it's random because he's
the
at
magic
50%.
eight ball. Yes, no,
Yeah.
maybe.
So we have to have the standard that we could do better. Now, what's a quick way to get there?
Hmm.
Just go back and say, how many technicians do I have today? November 15th, 14th, right? Whatever
Hmm.
day you do this exercise. How many W-2s did I issue last year for that same role?
Oh, hey, that's an easy way to get the number.
You're going to be pretty close. Now you can say, well, we grew. Great. Well, let's take into consideration. But if you shrank, it's at least it's a
Yeah.
sort of a it's a messy way of getting to a very important number.
Hmm.
But at least put a stake in the ground. If you have 50 technicians and you hired 150 technicians, you got a problem. If you
Right.
got 50 technicians and you had 50 last year, but you've hired 75, you got a problem,
Hmm.
right? You got to get this is a number that has to come out of the closet and into the light of day,
Right.
where
Yeah, if we don't
companies
measure, we
start
can't
talking
manage
about
it, right?
and and aside from that, these are humans.
Hmm.
Like nobody starts on day one and goes, "Yay, I'm going to burn out in 120 days. Yay,
Yeah.
I'm going to put on the identity of this company and then 6 months later I'm going to be a loser."
Right.
That there's a human emotional toll placed on humans when you bring them into your company and you fail to be able to turn them into
Hmm.
kind of employee that can add value to your company.
Right. Right.
It's like this idea that you should be able to treat it like a consumable resource. I mean, people talk about resources, but this is not a consumable resource that you want to
Hmm.
burn through.
Right.
There's a human cost. And second to that, what also happens when you churn out and churn people through your organization, the people that stay in your company develop this mindset of, I'm not going to really wait and help Joe because
Hmm.
Joe probably not going to be here 90 days from
Right.
now. If he makes it the 90 days, maybe I'll kick in and help him. Like
Hmm.
they're waiting to just see if they make the cut.
I just had
That's
another
not the sort of thing
interesting
you want.
no, and I had just another interesting thought on the flip side of that is we're feeding all of these people who've gone through our organization and learned the ins and outs of our organization. We're feeding our competition insider trading knowledge every single time that happens.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
where are
because
they
that's
going?
where
They're
they
going
go.
to our competition. And now, because I'll tell you, if that was me and I was at a place for a while and I went somewhere else, I now know how to completely shred that company in a sales call. Not directly, but if that's my competition, I know all of the right things to say now about, listen, we do it this way. Make sure to ask them if they do this thing.
Yeah.
And
There's just
destroyed.
there's no good that comes from super high churn and bad hiring in a company. I would say the only thing worse than really high churn is no churn.
Hmm.
I mean, you've got to have some, or you probably don't have a standard. Like if you're
Sure.
keeping everyone, you probably don't have a standard because the
Right.
truth is
Or zero growth.
yeah, humans are messy.
Hmm.
You're gonna even if you do everything right, there's gonna be some people that just don't make the cut.
Absolutely. Well, let's turn the corner a little bit because I'm so intrigued, and especially since the first time we've been talking about WhoHire, is it's such a cool tool, but I don't know as much about it, and I know all the listeners would like to know more about it because with the AI, taking over the world, it seems like right now. basically. We've got Terminator waiting to happen, some people are saying. I don't believe that now, but I am being nice every time I talk to my my devices. The lady that's in the room that I can't say her name or she'll beep right in the middle of this episode.
Yeah.
But I'm being nice to them just in case. But tell us about WhoHire. What problem does it solve? What shortcut does it give us? All these things, right? And obviously, we now know why you came up with it for everything we just talked about.
Yeah. At the very basic, when you think about you can think about WhoHire as an applicant tracking system that people would be familiar with. So everything from writing your job ad, putting it out on job boards, managing candidates coming in, whether that's texting, one-way video interviews, automating the process of scheduling
Mhm.
and rating and all of that sort of thing. But the real magic and the key thing that's different is what we call a performance blueprint. It sits in the middle and it gives you a prediction about the applicants coming in on two things. How will they fit in that role and how long are they likely to stay? To
Right.
give you an example, for Mercedes-Benz, when an applicant comes in for, say, a car sales job, they're taking a 10-minute questionnaire. And then we say this person's going to sell 50 cars a month or 20 cars a month or 30 cars a month, and they're going to stay around this period of time.
Mm-hmm.
We get to within 15%. It's mind-blowing. What are we doing for home services? Well, when we got started, we to build these blueprints, and when I say blueprints for your comfort advisor, your dispatcher, your CSR agent, your install technician, plumbing, electrical, roofing, solar, you name it. We went out to the network of businesses. So, for example, for HVAC plumbing, we
Mm-hmm.
partnered with the Nexstar members. There's
Sure.
1,100 members in that group. We got to assess thousands and thousands of their actual employees doing those jobs. So these
Mm-hmm.
employees logged in, took a really long questionnaire, and then we got their actual performance data. So how did these people perform? What did their managers think of them? When did they churn out?
Sure.
We're feeding that into a machine learning algorithm. Think about it's very similar to what's known as actuarial science. So
Okay.
when an insurance company is trying to decide, hey, am I going to insure Jonathan or Sam? They have a prediction that says, well, Sam's likely to have cancer and die at age whatever. He's likely, so they're trying to weigh, are you insurable and at what
Mm-hmm.
risk level?
Right.
We're using that same science because we know the humans doing the job today and we know how you actually perform. So if you're an HVAC company, you have a candidate that comes in, we're comparing them to thousands of other people whose diseases we know, right? And whose performance we know. And we're
Uh-huh.
making a guess to say, hey, they're likely going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're going from having somebody who, a human that's doing a face-to-face interview, or there's, maybe it's that young person screening candidates on LinkedIn, to go from that to being able to compare that candidate to 7,000 plus other applicants who we know.
Sure.
Who do you think is going to make a better
Well,
judgment?
of course, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, this
it's the
is it's
data.
just as clear as a bell as soon as we define it that way.
When you think of it that way, and yet, so it's not perfect, but think of it like poker. When you think about the World Series of Poker, every hand
Mhm.
has odds for the hand.
Right.
And our goal is just for you to push your chips all in on the best hands possible with the highest thing. Now, it doesn't mean when you're sitting down and playing poker, sometimes you push your chips in on a poorly ranked hand
Mm-hmm.
and you win big. And sometimes you push your chips in on a great hand and you get beat.
Right.
But when you look at games over time, the same people win the World Series of Poker
Mm-hmm.
year in and year out. Why? Because they're disciplined in playing the odds.
Right.
That's what we want to help our contractors do. We want to instill a discipline of people are messy.
Mm-hmm.
You're not always going to win, but we want you to place your bets consistently on your highest ranked hands, not from Joe's intuition because he believes somebody was great at playing football in high school, so he's going to make a great technician.
Mm-hmm. He's
That sort of,
disciplined.
yeah, that sort of thinking has gotten you where you're at today.
Right. Well,
This
when we,
isn't,
of course, have to make changes to get changes, and our
yeah,
same thinking's not going to get us to a new place.
this is the application of science today in home service
Mm-hmm.
businesses. And contractors that don't upgrade the way they're hiring and they think they're going to hire the same way they did at the beginning of last year, they're already getting behind.
Sure. Yeah, no, 100%. I'm seeing it all over the country too. It's incredible the difference just in the last, I'd say 24 months from, we were coming right out of the boom of COVID and all of that happened there. And now we've landed in this place of it's almost as if the business owners, for the most part, there's plenty that are doing incredible. So this
Yeah.
isn't everyone, but it's almost as we've slipped into this desperation scarcity mindset all over the place that's like literally just all if somebody will just fog a mirror, we can train them. Let's
Yeah.
hope we can train them, and
Well,
just begging for anybody to walk through the door.
yeah. So I'm particularly passionate about this, and I have a ton of areas where we're growing the offering for our contractors. I'm going out all
Yeah.
of next week and living at one of my contractors' businesses because I want to be up close and personal, see
Yeah.
sort of the things that they're dealing with. My
Hmm.
commitment to the industry is we will be the number one platform for fixing their people problem. I want my customers to be in a room with a bunch of other contractors belly aching and bitching about how hard it is to find and hire great people. And my customers go, you know what? It's been so long that since I had a hiring problem, I don't even remember what that was like.
Right.
Because there is an answer to this problem.
Hmm.
It's not all a technology fix,
Hmm.
but technology can help us in many ways fix that. And then when we surround that by real business discipline, and I'm passionate about this because when you look across the landscape of the United States, the core businesses that really make community are your home service types of businesses.
Hmm.
They're the ones sponsoring Little League. They're the ones showing up at the community events.
Right.
They're walking into our neighbors' homes. It's not the Walmarting of America where there's a Walmart and a CVS on every corner. Now, you could argue we're getting more and more private equity in the space and we're starting to head that way. But I still
Sure.
believe at the end of the day, those individual locations,
Hmm.
they become the face of our community. And so if I can help them make better hiring decisions and put more
Hmm.
profit into their pockets, that's going to go directly into the local community
Oh, 100%.
and make for better schools, better roads, and all the things that make us uniquely American.
Hmm. Oh, I love this so much. So take us through real quick, unless you already have the details of exactly what will you do offer when somebody says, you know what, I've got for example, a $10 million a year company, and I need to bring on a handful of people.
Yeah,
What's that look like?
yeah. Well, they would just go on to whohire.com. We're a technology platform, so there's a monthly subscription they're gonna use to get on that, and then we offer a bunch of other services around that. So,
Sure.
if they're having a hard time, some people are behind the eight ball, right?
Hmm.
They need 10 immediately. They need five immediately. So we have done for you recruiting services that can help you get caught up, but
Cool.
you're not going to sustainably grow paying somebody else to recruit team members.
Right.
So what we want to install is a technology and the expertise within your leadership team that you can self-grow, both your leaders, your technicians, and people within that organization. So uh, so the
Mhm.
actual engagement sometimes differs, but at
Sure.
the heart of it, our WhoHire technology platform and that prediction, that's what we're banking on.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So it's who hire, just whohire.com. That's the website.
WhoHire.com. It's such a tough one to remember.
I know that. So for
Yeah.
everybody listening, it will be in the show notes. You don't have to crash the car trying to write it down. It's WHOHIRE.com. And where can people find your
And
book?
and Sam, when are you putting this episode out?
We are going live Friday, November 15th, 2024.
Yeah, so anytime between now and the end of the year, if somebody's listening to this podcast episode and they book a demo and they say Sam sent me, then we're going to give them 100% off their implementation fee.
Ooh, thank you. That's
That's
awesome.
the Friends of Sam discount. But you
I
got to
did not
put
even know that was happening,
you
everybody.
got to you got to put Sam in the comments, and it's got to be before the end of the year.
Before December 3, 2024, make
Yeah,
sure to get your demo booked with Who Hire. And thanks for that
And just
gift. That's awesome
and
for
just put
just for the
Sam
close
in
it.
the comments.
Yeah,
Like, what are we going to
Sam,
talk
can
about?
they
Sam
also
sent
put
me.
close it now? Either way, Sam or close it now.
Sam or close it now. Either one. I'll
Yeah,
know who you are.
perfect. Yeah, so make sure to give that in the comments to get your setup fee waived. That's pretty
And my
incredible
team's
gift.
going to say, "What the fuck did you just do?"
Well,
I'm going to say
let's absolutely make it that way.
that's my we love we're fans of Sam and the and we're in the holiday spirit early.
I love it. That is, to kind of wrap this up a little bit, I want to circle back to the main theme that I heard in this discussion is yes, there sounds like some really incredible technology that I'm super excited to get to know more about, as well as use. And even help my all the companies that I'm coaching with, we can help them hire better. But the theme that I heard the most throughout this episode is humans. We're working with people. We're working with people, not just people, but people who have lives and families and emotions and feelings and their own communities, and they're the providers. And to not respect them as people enough to truly give them a great experience where they want to stick around, and treating them like almost like cattle is, boy, that says a lot about who we are as the leader and the business owner. And it's not, and this is not a spanking for anybody listening. I'm just hearing it, and I'm basically spanking myself in this matter of, I've thought that over the years of,
Would I
there's
try
people are come and go, but now that I think about it this way, wow.
what I try to do, and this is for me as a business owner, because I've always ran my own companies. I'm in the habit of in the morning when I'm going into my place of work, is I try to imagine one of my employees and them on their path into work for the day.
Hmm.
And what are they thinking and feeling, and what problems might they be dealing with in their life, and what dreams might they have, and what emotion, mental baggage are they showing up to my office or my workplace if they're working remote dealing with.
Hmm.
And I try to imagine what can I do and what will they be thinking and feeling at the end of their interaction with me that day.
Hmm.
Will I have elevated them so they can be better for their family, so they
Right.
can improve their health? Like, if you look at somebody over a 5 year time span, you think, let's just go 4 years, like somebody that becomes president,
Hmm.
and at the end of 4 years, if you look at them, they are worn out.
Oh
They
man,
might have come in with like jet black hair and now they're gray.
I've noticed
Because
this new
because
several different presidents. I watch it go completely white in 4 years.
yeah, and the reason is there's such a tremendous weight of responsibility, regardless of what political party you're at.
Hmm.
What do you see happening inside your company? Do people come in and they get fitter and healthier and brighter smiled and more energetic?
Hmm.
Or are they starting to age and they're getting fat and unhealthy? And like, that's you,
Yeah.
right? So, what do you want? Like, if I'm a part of this group that Joe Polish puts on. It's called the Genius Network. It's a
Hmm.
great networking event. But one of the things he talks about is you as the entrepreneur being the $1 million racehorse. And if you had a literal $1 million racehorse, you wouldn't put it up wet. You wouldn't stuff cheeseburgers in its mouth. You wouldn't you would take care of it. You would give it
Hmm.
proper rest. Well, in your business, you have racehorses. Look at the quality of those racehorses over time. Like, just physically look at them.
Yeah.
If this person is physically unhealthy and mentally deteriorating and exhausted, that's the future of your business.
Yeah. Wow. This is reality right in the face. It's
Love it.
absolutely. I love this so much. It's such a great reminder. And speaking, it's kind of landing this plane with where it started with leadership, right? There's an exercise that I've done several times. A good friend of mine actually has been a guest on the show. He takes everybody through. It's very similar when we're talking about recruiting, and he'll have everybody just write down a list of all of the attributes and traits that you want in a good hire. Can they're punctual and they have great attitude, and all the different things. And it goes down the list, and then he says, now rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in every single one of these categories. It's like you're attracting who you are. If you want to hire people with these attributes at a level 8 or a 9, then you better have these attributes in yourself at a level 10 because you attract who you are. And it's like, wow, what a like reality of if the fish stinks, it sinks from the head down. So in order to build a better company, more thriving with better people that want to work for you, be someone worth working
Working
for.
for, that's it. The and if your audience wants to check out the Sales Boss, published by Wiley, on Audible, it is free right
Ooh,
now. So I have
wahoo.
marked it as zero cost because I've been out and about chatting with people, and there's a chapter. It wasn't written for the trades, but tradespeople are smart. They'll get it. You'll be able to decipher how this
Mhm.
applies to your universe, because at the end of the day, it's about business. There's a chapter on how to run your hiring process, but there's also a chapter on being a leader and the leadership code and what are the 5 truths about humans that if you master them, you will be able to build any kind of company that you want to build, whether that's an HVAC, plumbing, electrical, solar. Maybe you want to go into something completely different.
Mhm. Ah, love it. Well, that is incredible. In fact, I just downloaded mine right now on my Audible.
There
So
you go.
everyone go download the Sales Boss. It's free on Audible right now. Go to whohire.com, WHOHIRE.com, and set up a demo for to check out the software. It will. It sounds to me like it might not completely solve your hiring problems, but it'll sure make a hell of a dent in solving your hiring problems. And make sure to mention Sam or Close It Now or both in those comments so you get a sounds like a pretty sizable discount, which is awesome.
There's no double discount for mentioning Sam and Close It Now. It's
It's just confirming that this is
it's
where it
just
came from.
confirming that you two are friends of Sam.
Yeah, exactly. Are you a friend of Sam? It's honestly this life philosophy. Everybody that's listening probably knows this. I don't think I've ever said it. Strangers are just friends I haven't met yet.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
that's
That's right.
is what the classic sayings. But well, thanks for joining us today, man. It has been a pleasure.
Thank
It
you.
always is getting to hang out with you for a bit. And I know that you've been on a lot of adventures to different trade shows, that kind of stuff coming up. Where, if people want to get out and about and see you, where's the next event or location you're going to be that
The
is
next
open?
one I'm going to is the Roofing Process Conference. That's
Hmm.
happening December, I think 5th, 6th, and 7th. Might be 6th, 7th, and 8th. Don't show up a day early, but look it up. It's on Marco Island, and I'm gonna be doing a panel there with some of the greats, and we're gonna be talking
Sure.
about things related to home services.
Love it. Yep. There's a lot of roofers that listen to this too. So that's all the roofers. That's going to be an incredible conference. And for everybody else that's near Marco Island, even if you're not a roofer, get your butt there because there'll be some valuable content and some things you can go back and action in your business.
Plus, it's a
So,
beautiful location.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
Who wouldn't want to
I
go to
think I'm
Marco
going to
Island?
skip the conference and I'm just going to go hit the beach.
Word. Sounds good. I'll bring my suit. We'll drink the first non-alcoholic drinks on me.
Yeah, the first non-alcoholic.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
actually,
prepping for Spartan now, right?
that's right. I am now 9 days short of 1 year of no alcohol, and
Congratulations.
I'm going
Yeah,
to toast in 9 days. I think I haven't yet decided, is that a new me, or
right. I
how am I
love it.
going
I love it.
to?
Congrats.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's huge. Mine will be January 1 will be a year. So,
Awesome. Congrats.
yeah, for sure.
You're
It's
gonna
a
you're gonna make it. You're on the home stretch now.
good stuff. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, man. Last time, everybody, The Sales Boss, go get the book. It's free on Audible right now. WhoHire.com and go schedule a demo. Make sure to mention Sam or Close It Now. And Jonathon Porter-Whistman. It has been incredible. And we will see you again. Absolutely, I'm sure. I'd love to do a whole episode and really deep dive into more of the sales leadership content
Let's
that you
do it.
have. Really talk about
Uh,
the book and get it and we'll book it out enough. We can get an update on how the data from WhoHire and what that looks like, and just
yeah,
continue to build on that.
love it. Nice
So,
to see you again, Sam.
all right, take care, man. We'll see you soon. All right. So that was Jonathon Porter-Whistman with WhoHire. I hope that you got some value from that episode. I know I did. And thanks everyone for joining us today. A couple quick announcements that I want to cover. One is the Hook Agency Sales Summit in Minneapolis, Minnesota. There are 10 tickets left to that guy, and it is going to be incredible. Make sure you go to hookagency.com or just find Tim Hook on Facebook page, his Facebook page, and that will be the place to get a ticket. Also, the link for those tickets will be in the show notes. So that is step one. The other speakers there, as you know, hopefully, as you know, are going to be, of course, myself. I'm actually going to be getting pretty close to closing out the day. Joe Crisera is going to be there. Jason Walker is going to be there. We've got Elizabeth Howard, who's arguably one of the best operators in the industry right now, growing a company from 30 to 100 million. And Phil Falansky, who is going to do is 16, somewhere between 17 and 20 million, and where he's going to round out the year, which is wild thinking about. He's going to be somewhere in between, and his toggle number is as much as what how most people do in a year. So that's pretty wild. Also, Brent Buckley's going to be there, Mr. 14 million a year. And yeah, and of course Tim Brown. He owns Hook Agency, and in my opinion, he is definitely one of the best digital marketing agencies out there that I have seen. There is a short list of the people that I trust. If you want to know who that is, message me right now. There's about four, which I love to have a short list in a world that is cluttered with the trash. So just like any other industry, if you need to know about some marketing agency, let me know. Happy to get you connected. And the big announcement, though, is the end of April, 1st of May, the week of April. Let's see what is. I'm going to look at my calendar here because I want to get it exactly right for all of you. The week of April 28th through May 2nd. Now, it's going to be 3 days in that week. We don't have the exact days uh, like locked down just yet, but it will be that week. We are working on some of the final decisions on location and days and that type of thing for the close it now sell it. The votes are in. Basically, the word boot camp evidently has to be in there because when I polled the audience, everyone said boot camp, but it's going to be the close it now sales training, the sales system boot camp, right? Come learn how to be that 1%, how to be that top performer. Come learn how to multiply your numbers. It's going to be so incredible. What me and Steven and the rest of the team are putting together, Lauren, everybody that's in the Close It Now team, you are going to want to be there. It's going to be off the charts. Some of the things we're doing are wildly different than anything you've ever experienced in the trades, in training for the trades, especially. This is not just come learn a few things and let's hope it works and spaghetti stuck against the wall. These are actual proven principles. We're not retraining stuff that we learned 15, 20 years ago. This is the new stuff. This is how people are buying right now. It's perfect timing because it's springboarding out of out of the January event at Hook Agency. And that is the topic of the day is how are people buying in 2025? Well, we're going to deep dive into that with instead of just, a 45-minute session or whatever I get and one day's worth of a handful of speakers, we're going to spend 3 days intensively getting you to the next level to be a master at exactly how people are buying right now in 2025. So you do not want to miss the event. The link to the tickets are going to be in the show notes here. I'm going to make sure that you have a seat. Now I'm capping this at 60 people. It's going to sell out. It's going to sell out fast. Now, what I want to do is make sure that everyone who wants to be there gets there. So you can go ahead and message me directly, sam@closeitnow.net. You can email my assistant, Lauren. She's my scheduling coordinator, Lauren, Lauren, at closeitnow.net. Or go to the Facebook page. Search Close It Now, find the Facebook group, join the Facebook group, And of course, check out closeitnow.net. That's the website. All of those places, if you fill out the form on there and put in the notes that you want to know more about the Close It Now sales boot camp event coming in the spring of 2025, we will make sure to get you on the short list, and it's kind of like penciling in your spot. Now, you have to want a ticket, of course. We're not going to hold it for everybody. As soon as the tickets go and sell, that short list, you're going to get a few days to buy before the tickets go and sell to everyone. But if you want to be on the pre-order list for this event, get your ticket now. Get on the list now. Email me, sam@closeitnow.net. That's Lauren, Lauren, at closeitnow.net. Or you can go straight to closeitnow.net and fill out the form there, or go join the Facebook group, or just pop me a Facebook message. Any of those ways will get me. Make sure you mention to that you want to know more, want to get on the pre-order list for the ticket for the spring event. And the very last thing, everybody, if you've gotten value from the Close It Now podcast, I am working on my reviews. So make sure to scan the QR code that came up on your screen. That will take you right to the link tree for Close It Now. You can get all the different links to all the different social media: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and that is where you will be able to leave a review. I would love a 5-star review. If you mention if I read your review online and you hear your review, then I will give you a 1 hour coaching session. Those are now $1,000. It's not because I have to charge that much. It's because I just don't have that much time. So my coach said, you got to start charging for these things, so that way your time is worth it. I did doing so many trainings, but so listen, everybody, if I read your review online, then you get the ability to get one of those at no charge, which is really, really powerful, because there's so many people that have done a free coaching session with me that have absolutely gone and blown up their numbers from one session. And it's like if you listen to the old episodes, you've heard me talk about this gentleman. I haven't talked about him in a while. There's a guy named Mark. He's up in Chicago. We did one coaching session. He'd never sold above a 16 SEER single stage system in 3 years of owning his business. No bad judgment on him for that. Nobody's saying anything negative there, just because he didn't know, right? And so what we did one coaching session that day. He went out and he sold a $19,000 variable speed system, like immediately, same day. He'd never done it before. And he's like, man, and of course he does that all the time now. So that is exactly what happens when you get a coaching session with me. So go, I'd love a 5-star review. And that's it. So that was the last announcement. Everybody, thanks for listening today. I know you are on the path to success. I see greatness in you. I've got your back. I am here to help you every step of the way, to do things you've never done, to get results you've never gotten, so you can make a massive impact in your life, in your family's life. Be that provider that you know you're called to be, to make an impact in your community. Go be someone worth buying from.